There is a huge difference between being a high performer and just being straight up stress addicted. I can see the myth and the allure of being an overachiever and a high performer, especially in today's grind culture society. Social media has it painted out that we can all be David Goggins, and if you just turn off the switch and just keep saying that you can take one more step, no matter what, whatever the cost is, they will do it, even when their body is screaming to them that they need to just take a chill pill, actually go to a social function, enjoy people's presence. This is not a common thing in high performers because they see it as, from what I've seen, who they are as a person is this type. And if they let off the gas, if they sit on the couch, if they take some me time, then that lessens their internal value. Now, this is a lot harder to fix and a lot harder to reframe for people than to get people to stop eating processed foods and to work out more. What I mean by that is whenever you get in this line of work, all my education that led up to this point was to get people to feel healthier, go work out, show them what a proper meal looks like, what nutrition style can look like in different flexible patterns, all these different things, but you don't really get prepared for whenever you get to somebody and they're doing everything right. They're doing all the perfect stuff. They're eating on plan. They're working out. They are nailing every single box and they do not step off plan ever. And you realize that less is more. Law of diminishing returns. Too much of a good thing is not a good thing. And I want to tell you a story about a client that I have currently who experienced all this and is currently working on getting out of it. It's not really a one solution fixes everything. It's more like picking apart one thing at a time, reframing it, and awareness is usually the baseline solution to it, and then putting it back in with a different perspective. So they can still be a high performer. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Crush your goals, but just realize that there is a balance to it. And whenever you strike that balance, you will get much more return on your investment. This client, workhorse. She is one of the hardest working people I have ever gotten the pleasure to work with. And when she came to me, it sounds like a dream client on paper, right? Like I said, never misses meals, never misses workouts, communication is stellar, everything is great. But when you pull back the layers, you see a lot of different things, especially when I started getting the data to back it all up. So when she started, first thing I noticed was she is up to her neck in stress, but she handles it like it is completely normal. And when I say up to her neck in stress, I'm saying she averages between 20 to 30,000 steps every single day. People hit that going to Disney World. She is working out at least 4 times a week with a personal trainer on top of working with me as well. So to make sure that both her in-person and the outside resources were completely refined. Restrictive patterns in the past, especially when it comes to dieting, just being constantly on the deficit side of things, never really stepping into the more maintenance or surplus side. It has all these, negative associations with them. People have a really hard time trading off a little bit of flexibility and what's needed, percentage or two up on body fat. It really gets to them, and it is really hard to overlook, I suppose, or accept this trade-off. And it's something that kind of comes with time. But to get back to where she was at, on top of all this, training, nutrition, restrictive patterns, high activity output, higher than I've probably ever seen before. And on top of that as well, she's not a stay-at-home mom. She also works a 9-to-5 job. So let me paint the picture for you. Gets up at 3:45 in the morning, sometimes earlier, so she can get up, go work out, do her cardio, do her resistance training, see her personal trainer before her kids even wake up, gets home, makes food for everybody, including herself and her kids, smashes that, goes around, does all the amazing things that moms do. I mean, the list really never stops. And when I introduced taking a step back, it is a bit uncomfortable because somebody gets so used to these certain things, right? This is part of their schedule. This is what they do. They have it in a flow. They have a really high output time, and that's what makes them feel fulfilled. So when you try to add calories back in, explain the benefits of a surplus, meaning hormonal rebalance, and also just trying to lower that stress hormone a little bit, bring back the cortisol just a touch. And the way we did this, very unfamiliar concept. Free meals, more calories, less emphasis on failure training and more emphasis on going in, feeling the movements, doing what you have to do, but trying to keep it closer to like 2 to 3 reps in reserve. Taking me time, an even more unfamiliar concept. She was like, I don't even, when you say me time, like, what do you mean by that? I'm like, like when you sit down on the couch and you relax. She's like, I don't do that. Have never done that. Okay, so obviously you can't bend somebody to do things that they isn't necessarily part of who they are. So you got to switch it up a little bit. You tell her that no cardio, but brisk outside walks, unplugged, no podcast, no self-help stuff, no phone, no nothing. Just go outside, get a very light walk in, enjoy the sunshine, breathe, most of all, take a couple of deep breaths, and this will be considered the me time. Still activity, still output, still tied to who she is and what she wants to do, but it's a step in the right direction. When somebody is filled to the absolute brim with cortisol, a lot of things are going to symptomize and they are not good. First off, digestion is probably going to take the largest hit. Digestion has its very own nervous system and it knows you are stressed out even if you don't know you're stressed out. Even if you don't recognize that you are completely just stretched thin and running around like crazy and doing all these things that might be normal to you, your digestion knows and it will tell you. You'll be bloated, you won't digest food super well, you will be irritable. To put in such high amount of effort to take the time to get up at 3:30 in the morning before your kids even wake up to go to the gym, to take time to prepare your meals, to make sure that you are on plan, to get your activity in, to spend the money on people to tell you what to do all these different things, and then be met with bloating, irritability, bad digestion, slow muscle put on. It's so frustrating. And so many people, and they're like, you know what, to hell with all this. I don't even care anymore. I don't need this coach. I don't need this program. I don't need a healthy lifestyle. I'm doing everything right and I'm not getting the return on my investment. Screw this. Understandable in a way. I mean, it's kind of normal to think that if you're doing everything right, but then not seeking, getting the results out of it, that's frustrating as hell. One of the first things that I told her was, this, in my perspective, is where you're at. This is what we're going to need to do to fix it. And I want you to know it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be something you have not done before. And I also just need some trust. Trust that I know that what we're doing may feel backwards and upside down, but it is the solution. And she did. After a lot of conversations back and forth, we talked about it. We didn't overhaul everything that she did. We didn't change her entire meal plan, what she gave me, what she was eating currently before she started working with me. We put that back in. Small modifications, a little bit more fats here, a little bit more calories there, and then one thing at a time, adding in sleep supplements, fixing that side of things, increasing the quality of that, bringing more awareness of maybe a little bit more me time, and then slowly changing your training. We didn't do all this in 1 week. This is an ongoing process we're still working on, and like I said, it's kind of just pulling out bits and pieces and getting them in one at a time. And it's not going to work immediately as well, because these systems, you got to think that they become under duress and they don't work well because of chronic fatigue, chronic meaning a very long time. So any short-term solutions aren't going to fix it right away, which is going to add to the frustration. But with trust, communication, a good relationship with your coach, you can do these things one small thing at a time and not expecting an immediate return on it working. Sitting there, putting these pieces back in slowly but surely on the path to recovery. I could pull up a couple things right now where we are immediately seeing bonuses. So it does take a while for the system as a whole to heal and take everything and be in a much better place, but it doesn't mean that we won't see small signs immediately. First off, her training went way up. Just kind of daily energy, pep in her step, she said, was up almost immediately. Like, she felt more pumps in her training, more connection. She didn't feel like she was dragging out of bed as much. That was win one. Win number two, implementing free meals. Free meals was a very unfamiliar concept. Eating gluttonous foods or eating foods that aren't necessarily, quote unquote healthy, very wrong. Like, what the heck is that? But I had to put a spin on it, because my take on free meals is free meals aren't to be glutton. They are not in your plan to sit there and pig out. You shouldn't go be eating until your stomach hurts and your digestion is messed all the way up. What I believe it should be is a step to include some flexibility, to let a little bit of life in. So whenever you have these free meals, I always promote my people to eat them with people that you love. Eat them with your family, eat them with your friends. It's really tough for people to taking in the mindset of these free meals aren't for glutton. They're not for the purpose of deserving them. They're just to feel a little bit more normal. Okay, take the time, use the food for the purpose of connection, feeling the people all the way around you, knowing that the food is just the medium of connection. You are eating these really delicious foods, what they should be, but you're also not scarfing them down because you're so starved for them. You're taking time to enjoy the moment, all these people around you, who you love, actually. That's what I believe it's all about. So centering the perspective and changing it a little bit for her was also huge, to know that we're not using it as necessarily something to take her off plan. It is the plan. It is a part of the plan. It is a piece of it, and I don't want it to be seen as opposite, I suppose. Let's do a summary rundown of everything that we have changed so far in the program that we saw benefits from. First off, nutrition strategies. More calories, more fats in particular for hormone production and just surpluses without the feeling of fullness, because a lot of people don't like that feeling of eating a ton of food and they're like, oh my gosh, I hate eating all this. Fats are a really good way to increase your calories without as much satiation because they're really sneaky like that. You can add in like nuts or olive oil and to bump up your calories, and they're great for a multitude of things inside of the body. Centering more carbs pre and post training to ensure that performance is at a really high level and she can recover easily as possible. No more chronic dieting. We are stepping into a growth season, and that was upfront whenever we first started. We are not dieting, at least till the end of the year. We are going to focus on de-stressing and building some proper muscle. And then again, introducing those free meals of a form of stress reduction. Training reset, no more cardio, only cardio. It comes in the form of a light brisk walk outside, unplugged and detached. Switching training emphasis to 3 to 4 days a week. The fourth is more so optional. Prioritizing sleep and recovery. This is a huge one. It's not realistic to tell somebody who does not get sleep at night to say, just sleep more. This is not the solution. The solution is in taking what sleep they get as is and just raising the quality of it. Eventually, yes, we want to add more hours of sleep to the end product. We want to bump it up to 6, 7, 8 hours a night if we can. But until we get to that point, let's make the 5 hours as restorative as possible. We want to focus on a couple things. First off, sleep environment. Make sure that there are no blue light, no phones, an hour away from bedtime at least. We want to start, telling the body to get into wind down mode, dimming the lights, parasympathetic activities such as reading a book or just unwinding a little bit, something that's very, very relaxing to kind of set the tone for sleep. No stimulants, 8 hours before bed, so no caffeine, no cappuccinos. With everything all put together, nutritional strategies, training strategies, emphasis on me time, sleep, quality, emphasis. Let me tell you some of the results. Better sleep, less bloating, less irritable, more energy, more training PRs pretty much weekly whenever she submits her check-ins, more presence with her family. That's a huge win. More balance with less stress, increasing by the day, by the week, and just a happier her overall. Sometimes it is underplayed, and she always lets me know, and it feels so good as a coach, that she says, you are kind of like the eyes and the perspective on this, because I have a hard time taking a step back and seeing the big picture. And it is really nice to have somebody to look at this through different lenses whenever she feels she's not getting a huge, win inside of it. I'm like, no. Look here, look, you got this and you got that. And this is huge. And this is a win right here. And she's like, I didn't even see all this. It's a very rewarding experience. She's one of my favorite clients. I know I'm not supposed to have favorites, but I do. Sue me. If you are a high performer disguised as a stress addict, maybe we should talk. I would love to talk to you about your situation, what everything looks like right now, and give you a better picture of how my systems can help you take a step back in order to take a step forward.